Good morning. I've asked Mary Lynn to stay up here just for a little bit. She's going to be part of a demonstration in a second here. She doesn't know it. No, she does. First of all, thank you for coming to my concert that I had a couple of weeks ago. It's awesome. That was sure a fun time. So I'll be talking about vibrations today, and we, Native Americans, we have a story about grandmother spider. So we tend to think we invented the original string theory, so I'm going to share a short little one with you. In the beginning, there was a dark purple light at the dawn of all being. Spider woman, Iktomisha, spun a line that formed from east to west, from north to south, and breath entered man and woman at the time of the first yellow light. At the time of the red light, man profoundly turned and faced his creator, and Spider Woman used the clay of the earth, red, yellow, white, and black, to create the peoples of the earth. To each of them she attached a thread of her web, which came from the doorway at the top of her head, and this thread was a gift of creative wisdom. And 3 times she sent a flood to destroy those who had forgotten the gift of her thread. Those who remembered floated to the new world attached to her thread, and they climbed safely through the Sipapu pole, also known as the womb of the earth. So many creation stories about the initial web that was spun together by grandmother spider. And what I'm talking about today is vibration. Good vibration. I was almost hoping you guys did the Beach Boys song. Good vibration. Nikola Tesla, you guys ever heard of him? Pretty well-known scientist, inventor. He's the guy who came up with the system of alternating current, the AC current electrical system. He was a competitor, more or less, of Thomas Edison, who Thomas Edison once did this experiment to disprove Nikola Tesla, and he attached this poor dog to some alternating currents. Well, you know what happened to the dog, but luckily, Sam Westinghouse said, I like that idea. Not the idea of the dog, but the alternating current. He also came up with fluorescent lighting. He came up with the remote control, so many different things that are still in use today. He said, I came across this quote just last week through a friend. He said, our entire biological system, the brain and the earth itself, work on the same frequencies. He also said, if you wish to understand the universe, think of energy, think of frequency, and think of vibration. Alpha waves. Do you guys know about what alpha waves are? They're the waves that are mostly produced when we meditate, when we're in an active state of awakeness, but with eyes closed. Just before we go to bed and just after we wake up is when we produce alpha brain waves. Well, here's the cool thing. It turns out that alpha brain waves are in between 6 and 8 hertz. Turns out that's also what Tesla found out that the earth resonates at. So when he talks about our biological system, the brain and the earth itself work on the same frequency, he's actually talking about that around 8 hertz. Nobody really could believe him at the time. They thought he was a crackpot. But he was born during a lightning storm, so we got to give the guy some leeway. So he did some experiments, and he had a way of seeing electrical fields and understanding and feeling electrical fields like no one else possibly ever did or ever could. He said after a storm, he felt that there was a resonance. And we live in New Mexico, and you know how it feels here right after a rainstorm, those positive ions that flood in? Well, he could feel those, and he could see them too. So he did some tests up in Colorado Springs, and he measured. And it turns out later scientists proved that he was correct. So it turns out that nature and our cranium resonate at 8 hertz. I would ask her to play it. Unfortunately, 8 hertz is, well, normal hearing, most humans anyway. We're so inadequate when it comes to dogs and other kind of animals. We hear between 50 hertz and 20,000 hertz. Would you play the lowest B on the piano? The lowest. 8 hertz is 2 octaves below that. Of course, so I can't sing it. If I could, I'd be a Russian profundo basso. So it resonates so low, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I do a lot with sound healing, and what a lot of people are doing nowadays is they're speeding that up, 2 octaves up, 2 octaves up, binaural beats that pulsate at 8 hertz, but only within our hearing range. It allows for healing. It allows for a meditative state. So when you meditate, you're actually doing that. You know that when you go in nature, like for instance, I was up at I played in Alamogordo yesterday at the heart of the desert. They had a wine and art walk, and it was a lot of fun. Really a nice day, except for the wind and the cold, and my hat kept blowing off. It was a good day. And so when we were driving back, we stopped at a Gary Springs to have lunch and sit in there and, hearing the wind through the pines, seeing the Organ Mountains, which are like about 80% quartz. So they're very powerful mountains. So when you're in nature, it's also resonating at about 8 hertz. So it's that feeling, that vibrational feeling. That's why you feel so good. If you need to ever cleanse yourself, go in nature. Who works in an office, in a cubicle? Anybody here? Nobody? Good. I'm sorry, Lisa. Fluorescent lights, evil things. I'm a musician, and we have a pitch pipe like when we're trying to sing. So usually, we can usually find a B flat by listening to the refrigerator or listening to the fluorescent lighting. In the United States, in North America, when you plug something in, zzz, that hum, 60 hertz. Now, 60 hertz is evil because it's neither a B flat, it's neither an A sharp. It's kind of in between. So, that's why if you work under fluorescent lighting, be sure to go outside once in a while and kind of cleanse yourself. This was something I came across that's just fascinating to me. It's been documented that the early astronauts, when they were in Earth's orbit, they suffered from migraines and disorientation and depression. Well, it turns out they'd been deprived of Earth's resonant 8 hertz, which also governs, guess what, our circadian rhythms. So the frequency of their brain suddenly changed so much they didn't have a fundamental ground. It gives a whole new meaning to when you ground yourself. I'm not feeling very grounded. Well, guess what? They really weren't. They were floating up there without anything. So what happened? Scientists put an oscillating generator up there to synthesize 8 hertz, and the alpha waves, they were no longer disoriented. So isn't that really cool? I love that example. I love that story. That's just in common. I mean, we're connected. We're connected to this earth in so many different ways, and that's one of them. So those are the brain waves that you use during meditation. What those brain waves do, they tend to balance your nervous systems. We have the sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic, and the autonomic, and they calm all of those. Lower your blood pressure, reduce your heart rate, lower your stress hormones, that cortisol that gets thrown to your system when you experience stress. Now we can't hear 8 hertz. We're not capable of it, unfortunately, but. It turns out that large mammals actually communicate long distances. There's these animals called fin whales. Now, fin whales, they communicate hundreds and hundreds of miles through the ocean, through the water, at a frequency of 20 hertz. Elephants can communicate over 6 miles, if the weather's right, through their feet. They feel the vibrations of the different herds. These scientists went to study them. I'm imitating an elephant here. And when the elephants would feel the tones of other elephants up to 6 miles away, they would suddenly stop and they would freeze. They were communicating through the ground. So we can't hear it, but other animals can. I'm trying to tell you, everything is vibration. I mean, everything is vibration. You know, when you smell something, you know what you're smelling? Vibrating molecules. When you see something, the electric fields, they cause the electrons in your eye to vibrate. And of course, we're only humans, we can only see just a really small portion of what's in the actual field that's coming through our eyes. And like, in other words, we can't see the ultraviolet. We can't see the gamma rays that are coming through. When we hear something, well, first of all, let's think about what is sound. Well, sound is vibration. It's matter. It's vibrations moving through matter, usually through air, or it can move through water or through ground. So everything is essentially vibration. When we touch something, it's vibrating. The Aborigine and the ancient Greeks talked about it a long time ago, that there's nothing solid. Somehow, without their electron microscopes, they were able to know that rocks are constantly just vibrating atoms, vibrating all the time. They could feel it. They would incorporate it into their Dreamtime stories, which is really fascinating. So a little bit about hearing, about our ears. Our ears are amazing, just really, really, really cool things. Not compared to dogs, but so I'm going to ring this for you. This is a Tibetan singing bowl. It's used by the Tibets when they meditate, when they're chanting, when they're praying. It's also used in sound healing because it can resonate to the different energy centers in your body, which also the ancient Vedics called chakras. It turns out that they're all kind of connected too. Let me have you do just a little experiment, if you would, just to indulge me. So on both of your ears, I'm going to have you put both of your ears like that. I'm not filming it, so... and listen. And now cup both of your ears. Can you hear it more clearly? And now pin your ears back. And now do that. No, just kidding. Thank you. That simple mechanism of doing that can allow us to hear. If you've ever watched rabbits, I love to watch rabbits. They're amazing. So I happen to be a musician. I'm trained as a musician. I know it can't tell sometimes, but on the piano, when you're learning the piano, when you're learning music, there's something called middle C. So can you find middle C on the piano, Miss Mary Lynn? I know, she's awesome. I was asking her, would you like me to go mark that? She gave me the look of, probably how she looks at the other Randy. So middle C, it's vibrating at about 262 hertz. Would you play it again? So what does that mean? What that means is that it has a frequency of about 262 hertz. That means when she plays it, there's 262 pockets of higher pressure air pounding against your ears. One more time. If you could see it, it'd be oscillating like that. Now, have you been to an orchestra performance or a symphony and you hear that squeaky oboe, usually, huh? Playing, this is what they play. They play what's called 440 A. So that's and you start hearing all the instruments tuning up. They're tuning to that note right there. That's the standard in American tuning. But guess what? It turns out that's in 1916, the American Federation of Musicians decided that was going to be the standard tuning. The French adopted it about 30 years later. But it turns out what Pythagoras, the ancient Greek musicians, Verdi, Mozart, in fact it's called Verdi's A, were tuning to something called 432 hertz, the spiritual heart chakra sound Unfortunately, we all tune to the A for some reason. But what I'm going to have you do is just stay with me here. I teach you, well, play a C and a B together. They're not vibrating at the same rate there. See, here's C going, ah, and then here's B going, ah. And so when you play them together, so we have something called a chord. And a chord, they're mathematically related. It's harmony. So would you play a C chord, kind of spell it out? In music, we have what's called, when we do a chord, we're playing the first, the third, and the fifth tone. And they match beautifully. So what I'm going to have you guys do, I'm going to have this side over here sing the 1. You're going to be on C. You're going to be on E. You're going to be on G. Try it again. Boom. Now let's sing a big one. You're hired. You're going on the road with me. Thank you, Mary Lynn. She's awesome. Now, what I'm trying to illustrate here is vibrations. That's vibration. That's vibrating at a certain tone. Did you hear that harmony? Wasn't it pretty? And you just wanted to stay there. Well, guess what? That's what we do as spiritual beings. We're vibrating also, all the time. So what today I'm going to try to help us do is learn how to vibrate intentionally. You know, we're vibrating and we're broadcasting. We're like radio stations. We're either transmitting or we're receiving, and we receive. You know, like if you want to listen to KRWG 90.7, you have to tune that in, right? You have to like go to your radio and tune it in 90.7. That allows you to receive what you're wanting to hear. Well, as spiritual beings, we're doing the exact same thing at any given moment. So how do we know what we're broadcasting? How do we know what we're receiving? Well, the way you know it is how you feel. See, emotions are the byproduct of thoughts. Thoughts, you're broadcasting them all the time. And anyone who's tried to, meditate really early on learns that you're always, that brain is always going. So, people who, like when we talk about people who constantly beating the drum of something, or maybe we say people who are one-note people, we'll say, I have this friend, and they're always just beating the drum of being sick, they're beating the drum of complaining, they're beating the drum of being single. Oh, I hate being single, I hate being poor, I hate struggling, boom, 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 boom. You're like a marching band, you know it. And so what happens, as you are vibrating that, you're attracting that exact same note. That what you're broadcasting. It's almost as if you have like this one note string, and you're, I am unhappy, I am unhappy, I am unhappy, and of course other people who are singing that same note, I am unhappy too, I am unhappy too, and they're all coming together, and guess what? And you form an orchestra of being unhappy. You ever notice, like say you're vibrating irritation. I'm irritated today. So you go to the store, and guess what happens? Somebody cuts right in front of you, and they give you a reason to be irritated, and you realize that the person up there forgot their checkbook or something. I'll go in the car and go get it. You're like, why do I always pick the shortest line? The line, it was short, and this is what's going on. Well, guess what? That's what you're vibrating. That's what you're transmitting. By transmitting, that's what you are receiving. It's vibrational, all of it. So the vibrational energy that you're broadcasting will always be what you're experiencing in your life. There was this saying that came out a few years back, more or less, that thoughts are things. You ever heard that? Thoughts are things? Well, there's a couple of sources that are attributed to that. One is Jane Roberts. She was channeling the spiritual teacher Seth. But actually, it was before that. It was Prentice Mulford in 1889 came out with a book, Thoughts Are Things. And this is what he said about it. He said, we need to be careful of what we think and talk because thought runs in currents as real as those of air and water. Of what we think and talk, we attract to us like a current of thought. This acts on mind and body for good or ill. You understand that? Be careful of what you think. I don't like the word careful so much because it kind of implies some kind of doom. I like being mindful, being extremely mindful of what you think. But that's what he was talking about in the book that he published way back over a century ago. And Catherine Ponder, I'm sure many of you know about Catherine Ponder. Well, what she said was, when you pray, you stir into action an atomic force. This shows you the time she was writing that. You release a potent spiritual vibration that can be released in no other way. And through prayer, you unleash and unloose a God energy within and around that gets busy working for you and through you, producing right attitudes, reactions, and results. It is your prayers that recognize and release the God power. Back in the Old Testament, it says, in the beginning there was nothing. And then, I've always loved this, and then God spoke. It was a word that said, boom, and then everything showed up, Starbucks, Walmart, and in fact, everything you experience and everything you're seeing in your life right now is a direct result of thought first. Somebody had to think about making this microphone. Somebody had to think, how do I make a transducer that reproduces electrical vibrations into cords and coaxials and cables, electrical charge that come through a sound system. Somebody had to think about it. Somebody had to think about how to build this and put this together. And of course, speaking of vibration, my favorite modern late prophet, Bob Marley, he says, live if you want to live. Rastaman vibration, yeah, positive. Then he said, that's what you got to give. I and I vibration, yeah, positive. The whole thing, vibration, good vibration. That man knew what he was talking about. So, like I said, how do we tell, what we're vibrating? Well, first of all, is how you feel. How do you feel about your place in the world right now, today? Everything you're experiencing is not something that's happening to you. It's happening through you. You are happening to your world. Therefore, being mindful of your vibration at any given moment. I have this friend, Kay, and she's just wonderful. And so I asked her once, what are you broadcasting? And she says, I'm K-Love, K-L-O-V. And she's right, because she broadcasts love. You know how when you come across someone like the Dalai Lama, maybe, and you feel that vibration, he's emitting pure love. Now, Gary Zukav, in his book, The Seed of the Soul, if you haven't read that, I'd highly recommend that. Gary Zukav is, in the 1960s, he came out with the book, The Dancing Wu Li Masters, which attempted to explain quantum physics and spirituality. Absolutely love that book. I have two copies because I always give them away to other people, so I order new ones. He's talking about different emotions have different vibrations, okay? So like say that you're feeling anger, resentment, fear, judgment. That's vibrating down at about, let's see. What would that be vibrating at? About a... Say you're feeling love. Got to add a major seventh in there. Like attracts like. We all know about the law of attraction, right? We all know about that. Like attracts like. That's what we're doing every single moment of every single day, with every thought, with every action, with every word, with every utterance, with every time that we choose to see things from a lower vibrational, dun, 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 dun. There's a reason Jaws chose that interval, I'm telling you. It's looming. So the law of attraction pretty much just says that which is like unto itself is drawn, or like attracts like. So what you think about, you bring about is another way of saying it. Giving thought to it is inviting it. Giving attention to it is giving it, there's no law of detraction. There's no law of exclusion. There's no law of no. So when you say, I don't want that anymore, I don't want those kind of people in my life anymore, you're actually vibrating that too. And you're called, by giving attention to it, you're vibrating with it. It's like you know it's no. Like you secretly know what its chord is, and its chord is doom. So I don't have the chord of doom, but if I did, it wouldn't be very nice to listen to. So be mindful of how you're choosing to look at something, how you're choosing to think about something, and definitely what you choose to give your attention to. And I always talk about taking one day out of the week, a news fast day. Don't look at the news. The news, the media knew, they found out a long time ago, and my major is journalism, so I know, I'm guilty of it. No, not really. They figured out a long time ago there's a lot more people hanging out down here in the vibrational level of fear and judgment. And I told you the world's terrible. Well, therefore, the ratings increase by giving a lot more attention to it. So take a day every while and just take a news fast. If you want to hear the news, kind of do like I do and kind of open your window to the mockingbirds that are singing right now in the morning. They'll tell you everything you need to know. They're really, like Skip was playing earlier. He was playing some mockingbird stuff. Whatever you're giving your attention to, you're including into your experience. Mahatma Gandhi said, your beliefs become your thoughts, and your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. So how do we raise our vibration? Well, we have to choose. It's an actual choice. First of all, be around people who make you feel good about yourself. Be around people who make you feel better. That doesn't mean you have to avoid the people that are in the complaint area, in the depressed area. It's okay to have compassion. In fact, it's very important to have compassion because you know what they don't know, and you can tell them, and you can help them. Say, let's go for a walk. I have some great music I want you to listen to. Or let's eat some green chili, just anything that makes you feel better. So I'm going to ask you to try an experiment this coming week, okay? Try just for this afternoon, actually. Try to do and think only things that make you feel good. Now be careful, though. That doesn't mean go indulge yourself and go binge on Netflix and eat tubs of ice cream and say, ha, 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 I'm doing what I want to. Ha, ha, ha. By doing that, you're actually adding to the resistance of it. And what you resist persists, as we all know. But try to, like if somebody calls and says, hey, I want you to come to this concert. I want you to go see this movie with me. I heard it's really depressing, and I heard it really shows how terrible the world is. And if you don't feel it, if you literally really don't feel it, just say, I think actually today I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to read a book. Or I'm going to do absolutely nothing. Try to do what makes you feel good. Try to think what only makes you feel good. Just for the rest of the day, just try to keep doing that and see how it's going to build. And then witness the proof. You'll start experiencing reasons to feel better, reasons to feel good. And you realize, I really am vibrating at a frequency like that beautiful chord that Mary Lynn played. And you're going to find others who want to harmonize with you. Oh, yes, I like you too. I like that. I like that. And so, I'm sorry, I do everything by singing. So, just some other quick ways to raise your vibrational level. Laughter. Laughter's great. I love laughter. It releases, there's that whole laughter yoga. Or they do that. And so I just think they're laughing at the people in tights. But another way to do it is to meditate. Meditate for 5 minutes. 5 minutes a day, that's all you got to do. Simply close your eyes, get into that alpha brainwave state, count your breaths, count your exhalations from 5 down to 1, start again. Do that for 2 minutes, then do it for 2 more, then do it for 2 more. That's all you need to do. But go outside. Singing is a great way to do it. Singing or toning. Or you can visualize flooding your cells with light. Drumming raises your vibrations amazingly well. So that's another good. The other ways to do it, think thoughts of appreciation. Find anything to appreciate in any situation. If you're in line and somebody gets before you, gets in front of you, say, well, you know what? I have the ability to come in here and shop on my own. I can walk myself in. I have the ability to pay for my groceries that I buy because I have money, I have a job, I have prosperity, I have resources to do that. There's always something to be grateful about. Choosing those thoughts attract like thoughts, and that attracts similar experiences. It's all vibration, man, positive. And so it is.